So today we're digging into this really fascinating report that reveals a huge shift in how small businesses in India are getting paid. It's a story about a digital revolution and, the surprising hidden costs that come right along with it. Let's start with just one number, 76.5%. That's how many small businesses in India are now using digital payments like UPI. I mean, it's a sign of this massive tech revolution. But here's the thing. While this revolution is making business easier in some ways, it's actually making it much, much harder in others.
Because we all know digital payments are faster, right? But for these small businesses, they also create a whole new world of headaches. And that's really the core tension we're going to explore. The incredible promise of fintech versus the very real problems it's creating on the ground. Okay, first up, the digital payment boom. Let's just take a moment to appreciate the sheer scale of this, because we're not just talking about a small trend. This is a fundamental change in how money moves for millions of entrepreneurs. I mean, just look at how dominant these tools have become. UPI is king, no surprise there, at 76.5%. But net banking is right on its heels at 73.5%. Even QR codes are being used by almost 62% of these businesses. So yeah, this is not a niche thing anymore. For millions, this is how business gets done. So that brings us to section 2, a new kind of headache. With all this digital money flying around, a really tricky problem has emerged. It's not about getting paid. It's about keeping track of it all. And this is the question that probably keeps a lot of small business owners up at night. You've got money coming in from a dozen different apps and methods. But how in a world do you match all those digital pings with your actual bookkeeping? And the data absolutely backs this up. When asked to rate the difficulty of this reconciliation process, businesses gave it an average score of 3.38 out of 5. Look, that isn't just a minor inconvenience. That is a real time-consuming struggle.
And you can see a really clear split here. The businesses using old-school manual ledgers, they tend to handle lower volumes of digital payments. But those who switch to proper accounting software are managing much, much higher volumes. The takeaway is pretty clear. The more digital your business becomes, the more you need a really robust system just to manage the chaos.
Now, this whole reconciliation headache, it just builds into an even bigger challenge: navigating the absolute maze of tax compliance. And we're talking specifically about the goods and services tax, or GST.
But here's where the story gets really counterintuitive. When business owners were asked how confident they feel about handling GST compliance, they gave a score of 4.59 out of 5. That is shockingly high. On the surface, it seems like they've got it all under control.
And that confidence extends right across the board. They feel it's pretty easy to get the data they need, and they believe they're fully aware of all the tax rules. So, everything's perfect, right?
Well, if they're so confident, what's the problem? Why call it a gauntlet? Well, because confidence is one thing, and reality, as we're about to see, is something else entirely. And here is the reality. Despite all that confidence, nearly 60%, almost 6 in 10, struggle with mismatched records. Almost half have issues claiming their input tax credits, that's the refund they're supposed to get on business expenses, and they face delayed settlements. So they feel like they're complying, but the data shows these costly errors are happening all the time.
This gets right to the heart of the matter. The real digital divide isn't about who has access to technology. It's about who has the expertise to use it properly. The finding is clear. Low technical skill directly leads to high difficulty. It's a skills gap, not a technology gap. So what's the solution? Let's look at the path forward in our final section: closing the digital divide.
When these businesses were asked what would help them the most, the answer was crystal clear. The number one request from over 65% of them was professional human help. They don't just want another app. They want training for the software they already have and workshops on GST. They are literally asking for education.
So this all boils down to 3 key solutions. First, affordable all-in-one tools. Second, accessible training that's actually in local languages. And third, a hybrid support model, one that combines smart tech with real human experts for guidance when you need it.
And despite all these headaches, this might be the most hopeful number in the entire report. When asked if they plan to use more Fintech in the future, the score was a hugely optimistic 4.38 out of 5. They see the problems, but they still believe in the promise. They don't want less technology. They want technology that actually works for them. And that leaves us with one final, crucial question. Fintech revolutionized payments. Can it now do the same for the far more complex world of compliance? The potential is massive, but only if we can finally close that skills divide. Thanks for tuning in to The Explainer.